Welcome to Dreamed It, Then Real Lifed It, the podcast where we dive deep into the journey from vision to reality. I'm Kelly Jackson, your guide on this path of self-discovery, transformation, and intentional living. Here, we explore everything from mindset shifts and personal growth to spiritual alignment and entrepreneurship, sharing insights, stories, and actionable wisdom to help you live a life in harmony with your dreams. Every episode will dig into what it means to not only dream big, but to actually consciously create the life you envision. Let's turn your dreams into real life. Before we begin, let's land for a moment. You showed up today because part of you is turning toward truth, expansion, and alignment. Sunday Spark is my weekly email created for the ones who are ready to live life in full ownership, to build in rhythm and grow from a place of ease. Each letter includes insights, activation prompts, and practical tools woven through my holistic trifecta, which is optimal health, positive relationships, and wealth building. And the best part? It's only 45 to 90 seconds to read. It's a quick spark, a gentle activation, something you can carry into your week. If you want that kind of moment in your inbox every Sunday, you're invited. Sunday Spark is there. It's ready when you are. The link to join is in the show notes. I had a conversation recently where I mentioned my vision board, and the person I was talking to genuinely asked me, "What's a vision board?" And it wasn't in a sarcastic way. It wasn't in a dismissive way. They were truly curious. Like, it was truly in a curious way. And it stopped me for a moment. Not because the question was silly, but because it reminded me of how many people have never been taught to consciously orient themselves toward who they're becoming. Guys, vision boards get talked about a lot, okay? I know that. And they get joked about a lot. And they get reduced to something that's fluffy or aesthetic or aspirational. But what most people don't realize is that when they're used correctly, vision boards aren't arts and crafts. They are identity technology, okay? That is what we're going to be talking about today. Welcome to the podcast. I want to start with how my relationship with vision boards changed, because I have been making vision boards for a long time. And my early ones looked like what you would expect, okay? Big goals, shiny outcomes, and all the things I thought I should want. And they weren't bad. But they weren't grounded. And over time, I noticed something interesting. I love a good pattern. The boards that actually influenced my life weren't the ones that were filled with achievements. They were the ones that reflected how I wanted to feel in my body while living my life. And that is when my relationship with vision boards changed. And they stopped being about getting something and they started being about becoming someone. And I would say that shift for me happened around my 2020 vision board. And it was subtly making its way there, but that was when I really shifted. And it's interesting because over the last 5 years, I'm getting ready to make my 2026 vision board. Over the last 5 years, my vision boards have grown exponentially, not only in the quality of them, but also the size. Now that I've really honed my vision board skills and I understand, like truly understand the purpose that they serve, which we're going to be getting into in this episode, man, they are like, wow, they are so helpful for me. They truly pave the way for the year. And there's something I keep coming back to and I keep at the forefront daily. So I'm excited to get into this with y'all. Okay. Now, let's talk about what a vision board actually is. Okay. And what it's not. We'll start with what it's not. It's not a wish list. It is a mirror. And it reflects back a version of you that your system is slowly learning to recognize as familiar. Okay? Because your subconscious, which runs the show, by the way, 95% of everything you do, say, and think comes from the subconscious mind. Keep that in mind. Okay? Your subconscious doesn't speak in words. It doesn't respond to bullet points or logic or anything like that. Okay? It speaks in images and emotion and sensation. And if your nervous system doesn't recognize the life that you say you want as safe or familiar, then it's going to quietly resist it. And even if consciously you are quote unquote motivated, that's why willpower eventually burns out, okay? Because if your nervous system doesn't recognize it, this life that you say that you want, that you're moving toward, that you're building, if your nervous system doesn't recognize it as safe or familiar, you'll self-sabotage unknowingly, okay? Vision boards work when they help your brain and your body to rehearse a new identity, okay? Rather than just chasing an outcome. And this is the key. This is the part I want you to really let land. Vision boards sometimes do get a bad reputation, okay? And that's because they were absorbed by hustle culture and watered down manifestation culture. Yes. Okay. If that was your introduction or if you were in either of those realms, those worlds, and that's where you were hearing about vision boards, you might have a bad taste in your mouth. So this is a clean slate, okay? Because in hustle culture and in this whole watered down manifestation culture, they kind of got reduced to goal porn and petty pictures without embodiment, okay? And think of it and it will happen energy. That's not what it's all about, guys. So when people say vision boards don't work, I get it. I get why they say that they don't work. But here's the reframe, okay? Vision boards don't fail. They reveal misalignment. And if your board represents a life that your nervous system associates with pressure or danger or abandonment of self, well, then you're going to subconsciously avoid it. All right? That's not laziness. It's self-protection. So what we're doing here in this episode is laying it all out so that you can see the bigger picture, recognize or understand where in this whole thing you fit, what your relationship with vision boards has been, and then understand clearly why it's important you make a 2026 vision board soon, okay? Because here we are, December 29th is when this episode drops. So we're a couple days away from the new year. There's an important distinction I want to make, and it's vision versus fantasy, okay? And this is relevant for vision board making. So fantasy feels like escape, and vision feels like orientation. So fantasy equals escape, vision equals orientation. Fantasy is often dissociating, whereas vision is grounding. Okay? So when you look at a vision board that is aligned, your body softens and your breath deepens, and something inside of you says, I can move in this direction. That is the signal that you are looking for. It's not excitement, it's not adrenaline, it's safety. And that's what you want to keep coming back to. Yes, it can feel exciting when you're creating it. Okay, I want to be clear on this. So when you're actually making your vision board, when you're preparing to make it, when you're collecting the images, the words, the different items that you're going to put on your vision board, that can feel exciting because you're tapping into your higher self, your future self. You're bringing your vision into the 3D by making it tangible, putting it on a board where you can look at it. So that does feel exciting because it feels like possibility. Okay? I'm not saying possibility isn't exciting. I'm not saying having a clear direction isn't exciting. The creation of it, 100%. I want you to be excited about creating it. And I want you to feel that elevated emotion when you're creating it. What I'm saying, though, is when you're looking at it, it's like a map of the life that you know you're destined for. Okay? And that is going to feel like safety. Because you know, if I'm living this life, I'm good. I feel safe here. Okay? You can create a vision board that actually works. It is possible. And this is what I want you to keep in mind. So when you're creating your vision board, this is what matters most. Choose images based on how you want to feel, not what you want to prove. Okay? I'm going to say that again. You want to choose images based on how you want to feel, not what you want to prove. So you're going to focus on states of being: calm, spacious, connected, clear, grounded, regulated, creative, healthy. Open. Okay, ask yourself, does my body relax when I look at this or tense up? That's a good question. Your body will always tell you the truth before your mind does. That's why we want to be tuned into our body. Vision comes before fixing. This is why in my work, especially in Self-Love Uni, we don't start with fixing. We start with orientation. Before your habits change, before your behavior shifts, before your goals stick, who you are becoming has to feel safe before it becomes sustainable. And vision is how you begin the conversation with yourself. That specific conversation, that conversation of the vision and who I am becoming, which is the first module of Self-Love Uni, the vision and who I am becoming. Okay? Without vision, we default to survival. And with vision, we give the nervous system a direction that feels safe enough to move toward. Okay? Now, I like to make my vision boards in January. I don't ever really start early. Honestly, I don't, because December, it's my birthday month. It's the holidays. It's the New Year's celebration. There's so much, my kids are having finals. They get out of school for the holidays. So there's so much happening in between the Thanksgiving time of year and New Year that I'm trying to finish Q4 strong. I'm not focused on creating my vision board for 2026. Okay. Plus, with my birthday being at the end of the year, that's kind of a threshold for me. That's a reflective period. It makes sense for me to make my vision board in January. That is what I do. And I've done that for the last, 5 years or more, actually. But I was saying that since 2020, vision boards is when it really began being like a ritual for me. Now, that being said, I'll collect things throughout the year. I have a whole box in my art studio, like a container, where as I'm collecting things, maybe it's a postcard or sometimes it's even junk mail that comes in the mail, but it has something written on it that I'm like, oh my gosh, that's great. That's speaking to me. I'm going to add that to a vision board. I throw it in my vision board thing. I'm collecting things year round. Okay. And sometimes I even have things like that are left over from previous years where it's just, I had so many things that I had more things than would actually hold on my vision board. And I created a vision board at that time. So some of these things that I've collected, they stay there and I can use them for later when it feels right for that moment. And so I'm kind of always thinking about my vision board because I'm always thinking about my vision and my future and who I'm becoming. That's how I do it. Now, when it's time to create the vision board, I pull all that out, plus any other things that I have, magazines, just whatever, newspaper type things, or, newsletters or whatever. And I will go through and intentionally cut some things out that I may want to include. Okay. And sometimes there's a little bit, I may have something that's not necessarily in something I've already collected or that I already have, but it's something I'm moving towards, working towards, have an idea of. So I can always print something off of the computer and use that. Okay. So you're not limited to any one thing. Now, and as far as the size, I've had clients that have made one that have been on a tabloid size piece of paper, like a 11 by 17. Mine at this point, and you don't have to be overwhelmed by this. I'm an artist. I'm a creator. I'm a designer, literally professionally. I'm all of those things. So for me, this is just part of my process and part of me being me. But my vision boards are like on those trifold presentation things that you used to use for like science fair projects. And I do the front and back. So there are 6 panels total of my vision board. 3 on the front, 3 on the back. It opens up there, and I keep that somewhere where I can see it every single day. Of course, if I'm traveling, I'm not bringing a 20 by 30 vision board with me, but you understand what I'm saying. The other thing that I do, and I recommend everyone doing, is I love tangible things, okay? I even have an analog desk. I have a digital desk and I have an analog desk. My analog desk, there's no technology there. It is truly analog. It's handwritten. I'm not using technology in this analog space. I still use handwritten calendars. Of course, I use my digital calendar too, but I still journal by hand. Yes, I use my digital journal. Yes, I use voice memos. I journal that way. And I still handwrite things. I still handwrite letters. Okay. I am an analog gal. I hand make my vision boards. I like the process of cutting, taping, pasting, all of that. You may decide you want a digital vision board. Okay. You can do that. You can go in Canva or any sort of program that you have and create a digital vision board. This is my suggestion. Whether you create one by hand, on paper, on cardboard, on foam board, whatever, or you create a digital one, you want to have both. You want to have something digital and you want to have something that you can hold in your hand. So if you create an actual physical one, take pictures of it and keep it on your phone. And then if you create a digital one, I want you to print it out and pin it up somewhere. You've got to have both. You have to be able to see this thing and check it in for it to really serve its purpose in its full capacity. You've got to be able to put your eyeballs on it. okay? And feel it and sit in front of it and meditate in front of it and just stare at it and allow your subconscious mind to soak it all in, to become familiar with it. Allow your your nervous system to settle into it, okay? Now, okay, I said that to say this. So, well, I said that because it needed to be said, but I inserted it there because my next thought was going to be this. So I make mine in January. That's what I do because I want it to serve me for the upcoming year. Now, what do people typically do in January? Even if you have never in your life heard of a vision board, I can pretty much guarantee you've heard of a New Year's resolution. Okay? I want to talk about why New Year's resolutions don't work and why that's not a personal failure. Because this is why so many people feel motivated in January and discouraged by February. New Year's resolutions ask for behavioral change without creating internal capacity. I'm going to say that again. New Year's resolutions ask for behavioral change without creating internal capacity. Okay, guys, what that means is they as in New Year's resolutions, rely on willpower and motivation and pressure and identity overrides. Okay, and that works briefly until life happens, until stress returns, until the nervous system defaults back to what is familiar, okay? That's why New Year's resolutions last like 2 weeks, maybe 4, 6 if you're lucky, okay? Most people don't fail their resolutions. Their nervous system simply pulls them back into safety. This is biology, okay? Plain and simple. That is why so many people fall off over the first few weeks. Not because they don't want change. They do. They do want change. It's because change was never made to feel safe. Okay? Vision, on the other hand, when done correctly, changes that. It gives your system a direction that it can orient toward without panic. Okay? And that's the key. We don't want the panic. We want our nervous system to be able to be like, oh, I see where we're heading. This is doable. Yeah, I get it. Okay. This is the path. It's laid out. We got this. And you're going to keep checking in back every day. And with each passing day, your nervous system gets more and more or feels more and more safe with this vision and who you are becoming. It's like, okay. Guys, if you're listening to this at the end of the year and you are noticing that familiar pull toward change, like to the desire to do something differently this time, I want to say this clearly. There is nothing wrong with you if you have tried before and fallen off. Most people don't stop because they lack discipline. They stop because their nervous system associates growth with pressure and danger and self-abandonment. And this is why Self-Love Uni exists. Self-Love Uni is a live group coaching container, or at least there's one starting up, a live group coaching container for people who are done starting over and ready to build change that actually lasts. Okay, we don't begin with New Year's resolutions or forcing habits. No. We begin with orientation. Okay, the first module is centered on vision, identity, and helping your nervous system recognize who you are becoming as safe before asking it to sustain new behaviors. All right, because when your body feels safe, consistency stops feeling like self-betrayal. We begin together on January 15th. That's for the Self-Love Uni live group coaching container, and enrollment is currently open right now. If you are someone who knows you want support, not hype, not pressure, not another reset, genuine, true support. This is a space to explore that. And if you're not ready to decide yet, that's okay too. Just notice what feels true as you move into the new year. Okay? You don't need to have your entire life figured out before this year ends. You simply need a direction that your body can trust. And when you move from that place, change stops feeling like force and it starts feeling like alignment. Guys, you know this is season 2. This is the embodiment era. We are embodying this vision that we have for ourselves. I'm going to throw in one of my favorite Neville Goddard quotes here because I just love it. Assume you already are that person. If this assumption is persisted upon until it becomes your dominant feeling, the attainment of your ideal is inevitable. Guys, this is what we're doing here. We are holding the vision, okay? I'm going to put the link in the show notes for how you can check out Self-Love Uni, this group coaching, again, beginning on January 15th, 2026. And I kept this one short for you too because it's the holidays, it's the end of the year. I know you got a lot going on. This was an important conversation to have. I think I said everything that you need to hear to get excited about vision boards. And I'll see you next year. Bye-bye. Thank you for tuning in to Dreamed It, Then Real Lifed It. I hope today's episode sparked something powerful within you. Remember, every step you take towards your vision counts, no matter how small. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please take a second to hit that subscribe button or leave a review. That would be amazing. Or share the podcast with someone who's ready to bring their dreams into reality too. And if you're looking to dive deeper, connect with me on social media at Dreamed It, Then Real Lifed It, or at BE_what you want. Or visit dreameditThenRealLifedIt.us for more resources on aligning your life, business, and dreams. Until next time, keep dreaming and keep manifesting your dreams into real life. Love you, friends.